Welcome to the Volunteer and Combination Officer Section webinar series. This week, we're going to be talking to two fire chiefs who've served as an interim fire chiefs and also full-time fire chiefs and talk about some of their experiences. But before we get to them, we got a couple things here to go over. And so now I got to get the machine to work. There we go. Whoop. Now we got to stop on two. Our panelists today are Chief Kevin McGee and Chief Forrest Reeder. Kevin is from Virginia, and Forrest is from Illinois, but he currently is residing in Arizona, so he's all nice and warm out there. My name is John Buckman, and I'll be the facilitator for the program today. A couple things that we at the Volunteer and Combination Officer section does is we want you to register in the National Firefighter Registry for Cancer program. It is so important. My fire chief at German Township just had, I'll say, successful breast surgery, and the lymph or the items that they saw in there are not cancerous, but she still is going to report that because you have no idea what may happen 1 year, 5 year, 10 years from now, and it can be job related. So please register for cancer at the National Firefighter Registry for Cancer. We need data. We need to prove what we say, that cancer is the number one killer of firefighters in America. Billy Goldfeder had prostate cancer probably about 3.5 years ago now, 4 years ago. Billy and Forrest and I have all been friends. Billy and I have been friends for like 40 plus years. And I'm not ashamed to tell you, I cried when he told me because he said, I knew I was going to get it. I just didn't know when because we all did dumb and stupid things. Men, don't wait till you're 55. Tell your doctor you're a firefighter and you need your prostate cancer tested now when you get to the age 40. So please do that. Go to Billy's website. There you are at 40plusfire.com, and you can download some other resources. Big thing the VCOS does is every November for 24 years, coming up on the 25th presentation, will be Symposium in the Sun. About 650 people come to Clearwater Beach and spend 4 days with us of education and some fun on the beach. We're not going to deny that. And a good opportunity to learn lots of things. The program changes. It's very flexible. We try not to repeat speakers all the time, but we encourage you to go look at Symposium in the Sun. Registration is not open, but get the date on your calendar. Registration will probably open up at about the April 1st. So, but get ready. We want you to show up. We have been sold out for like 8 years, so don't delay because next thing you know, we'll be sold out and you'll be denied registration. So, the IFC has a program called Workforce Solutions. Google IFC Workforce Solutions for you chiefs on this call who need officer development training. Here is one place you can go to get it. There's all kinds of virtual training, and they also provide in person training. And the in person training is most often, I shouldn't say most often, in person training provided by Workforce Solutions is covered by a grant. So your cost is the time to set it up and the location. But V2S encourages you to look at Workforce Solutions for some of your training needs. I will tell you, some of the programs are there for your monthly officer training. You could do that for officer development. A new program that we are testing in about 45 days is a Critical Thinking Academy about teaching our firefighters how to think critically, that was easy to say, that helps them make the right decision, not the instantaneous decision all the time, but the right decision that's right for them, their department, and the community that they serve. Where V2S is very excited about this program. It is brand new. We did do 3 programs in Symposium. This is a different program. This is 3 weekends spread out over a year. And there is some homework as well. And we're going to get some credentials associated with this. Hopefully get Columbia Southern University to buy into this program as well. A couple other things the V2S offers is we have a membership and leadership collaboration program where we'll come in and help you teach your officers how to get along. It's been a successful program. The couple times we have done that. If you have conflict, you have union firefighters, you're a combination system. Even if you're volunteers are a labor force. They may not have a contract like union members, but they are a labor force. And this program will help you understand better how to get along with each other. Beyond Hoses and Helmets is a program we've had for probably close to 30 years. And it's been updated numerous times, so it's not like it's 30 years old, but it is about how to recruit and retain volunteer firefighters. And then here are some of the other things the NVFs that we do. We have a great partnership with the National Volunteer Fire Council, another organization that serves the interests of volunteers. We encourage you to go to nvfc.org, download some of their stuff. They have great training as well. And so do that. The final thing is the ribbon reports. We have several ribbon reports. You can do blue, red, white, gold, yellow, just all kinds of ribbon reports on a variety of topics. The two most recent ones are the lavender ribbon report that deals with cancer prevention, and the yellow ribbon report, which deals with mental wellness and making sure that the things that we see are not impacting us over the long term. So we encourage you to get onto that. And so that's the advertisement for the nation for the IAFC VCOS. Now our speakers. And so now it's time for them to talk and for me to be quiet. And so Kevin, you want to introduce yourself first off?
Yeah, thank you, Chief. I'm Kevin McGee. I'm a retired fire chief from Prince William County, Virginia, and I served twice in the same department in Waco Fire Department in Waco, Texas. And John, thank you for mentioning cancer prevention and the cancer registry. The screenings are just so important. At the symposium in the Sun, I had the ESO test for the upper GI, and I went in for endoscopy, and we found some things that I need to be treated for. It's not cancer, but if it was left untreated, very easily could develop into a precancer and then cancer. So, John, thank you for that. And I'm
Prevention
glad
is the key. Prevention is the key.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Kevin has been a long-time fire chief. He led a very successful large combination system, which had he had like 700 paid people and 400 volunteers.
750 in the department and at least 500 volunteers.
Okay. All right. So welcome. Glad you're here and glad you're going to share your expertise. And Chief Forrest Reeder is also here. He's been in a couple fire departments, but I'll let him introduce himself.
Thanks, Chief. The order there. Prior to that, I served about a 90-day interim position with the Marion, Iowa Fire Department while they were in the process of doing a nationwide recruiting for their position there. And prior to that, I guess looking at the calendar now, I'm in my 47th year in the fire service, having most recently served as the fire chief in Tinley Park, Illinois, which was one of the larger combination part-time departments in the state of Illinois up until 2021. And have really enjoyed the opportunity after retirement from Tinley Park to work in the interim capacity and found it to be a very, very rewarding experience that, certainly a great opportunity to continue, working in the business and, take a look at a fresh organization, even though for a short period of time, but, I believe it is a great area of opportunity to help those, communities transition and, maintain the continuity of the fire chief's position while they're doing their recruitment processes and that. And Again, thank you, Chief Buckman, for having me here, and certainly an impressive resume of stuff that you rolled out there for us, John. And I know your fingerprints are on each and every one of those things, and you're to be thanked and congratulated for all your efforts in doing that for the combination officer section here.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, the one thing, or a couple things you probably didn't mention was you have a new book out.
Yes, coming up, actually, I think on March 5th, I think it's going to release the fourth edition of the Fire Department Incident Safety Officer. Picked up where Chief Dave Dodson, when he retired, rewrote his great work into a little bit of a newer model there to push the incident safety officer concepts and some of the training and those things forward for us. So looking forward to that in collaboration with Jones and Bartlett there. As well as the fourth edition of the Fire Service Instructors Principles and Practices, also from Jones and Bartlett. We're in the process of doing that rewrite, and that's going to roll out probably about the middle part of August. And that's a partner publication with the International Association of Fire Chiefs and NFPA and that. So been a little bit busy in the retirement, and I guess I just have had an epic fail experience in retiring completely from this great profession we have here. So.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you,
you also have a long time involvement with the International Society of Fire Service Instructors. I mean, you've developed many programs with them.
Yeah, and that's a great resource, for any level in the fire service, firefighter up to fire chief. We encourage individual membership as well as department memberships. This year, running out a new AFG funded program, an NFPA 1400, which deals with training programs. Really, really great, robust program, really geared towards the volunteer and combination departments to help talk about what the 1400 standards have as a resource for departments to teach SCBA training, to do driver training, initial attack operations, rapid intervention, thermal imaging training programs, and that. And of course, visit us at isfsi.org for information on those programs. And we'd love to have some more people jump on and join those classes with us too. So thank you.
Great. Well, the one thing that I will tell you that one of the things Forrest was doing, I'll say 6 months ago, and I found NFPA 1700 about 5 years ago. I was in Ohio doing a program and talked about. So for those who are on here, if you're not looking at NFPA 1700, you better start looking at it. It's going to influence us and the way we fight fires. Anything to add to that, Forrest?
Oh, that's for sure, Chief. NFPA 1700 is the standard on structural firefighting operation, and I'm really kind of super excited for what it's going to present for the fire service in presenting us with an evidence-based approach to how we should be, number one, developing our SOPs and training programs, but ultimately what a modern fireground should look like, reflective of the underwriters' laboratory efforts, the NIST efforts, many of the research institutes and groups that have chimed in to provide such a great resource document for us. They're looking at strategic decision making, tactical decision making. There's a great section in there that deals with on-scene contamination and the cancer reduction strategies and things there. So really, it's become an all-encompassing document, and I really believe, just like you said, Chief. Departments today need to, get to nfpa.org and take a look at what that standard says, because it's loaded with the fire department shall type of requirements and those types of languages there, and talking about reflecting all of their operations on best practices based on a lot of the UL research and things like that there. And though super challenging, it's also a tremendous opportunity to more align our best practices in the fire service with the research that's been done on our behalf, thanks to all those great groups there.
All right, thank you. Well, for those on the webinar, I have put in the chat session, just some questions that we're asking you, so we have a little bit of an idea of who you are. I will tell you that we have, and I'm going to mess up his name because it's Qamar, capital A. So I'm going to say Kamar A is from Pakistan, and he is here. He is the deputy director of rescue and firefighting there. He also asked a question is, will your book be freely available? And I hate to tell you this, but no, Kamar, you will have to purchase the book from Jones and Bartlett. So if you Google Jones and Bartlett Publishers, you should be able to go to that and see it, and and then purchase it. Sorry, we don't. The United States Fire Administration gives publications away, but the publishers, Fire Penwell, Firehouse, Fire, and Jones and Bartlett, IFSTA, they don't give them away. Sorry, that's the way it is in America. We got to make a little bit of money. So, all right, this is going to be open discussion. We want to see some questions from the audience, but we have some questions that we're going to ask of these guys here. We're not going to leave these questions up, but we have them out. So just so you have some idea where we're going to go, and we're not always going to talk about an interim fire chief, but because some of the same things you do as an interim fire chief will be what you do as a full-time fire or full fire chief. And the one thing that I will tell you, and I'll let Kevin go first about interim fire chief, and I'm maybe stealing some of your thunder there, but Kevin made a comment in the planning of this is go slow in order to go fast. Now I took what you were talking about, Kevin, and made that quote up, so to speak, is that you go slow and you'll go fast. But if you try to go fast, you're probably going to go slow. Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, John. Um, I think the biggest difference between being an interim chief and being a permanent chief is you have a very narrow window. And you really don't know for sure how much that window is going to be open. In my case, I was recruited to do a 2-month interim assignment, and it turned into just over 8 months. And so there was an expectation that we were going to get some things done. There was a good deal of, I would say, anxiety about, well, you bring somebody in from the outside, what are they going to do? What can they do? They're going to come in, kick their feet up on the desk and ride this out. And to me, that's not an ethical approach to doing the position. I was sworn in as the fire chief. I wanted to make a difference, but I didn't want to move the agenda so quickly that it was going to backfire on us or have stakeholders feel like change was being jammed down their throats. So we deliberately did very participative processes. And in actuality, got a little bit of pushback from fire officers on, they supported a couple of the changes that we were working on, but they didn't have the trust. It's like, you're going to come in, then you're going to be gone, and why should we put this effort in? Because once you're gone, there's a new chief, they may not like it. And my response to them was, this is an important thing, and it was about firefighter safety and health and wellness. It's like, I'm going to give 100% to help you in your department. I'm committed to you. We just need to take the chance together that we're going to get this accomplished. And so I worked hard to get over that kind of anxiety and concern. But some of the changes wasn't universally approved. So we spent time to understand the various stakeholders' concerns, get their input, and find the middle ground where we can get the outcome that we could all live with. So everybody had the opportunity to be heard. We did a processes that where it was fair, and we showed respect for each other. And in the end, even though there may have been things that each of us would have done differently, we agreed that we would accept the outcome that we could all live with.
Well, Forrest, Kevin, let me go to Forrest for a minute.
Yep, go ahead.
Because you just talked about something. Forrest, I want you to sort of elaborate in your experience. whether it's a full fire chief or interim, is that change is not universally accepted. And Kevin mentioned a couple things that he did. Any other advice for that fire chief, interim or full, what they need to do in order to help get that change universally accepted?
Yeah, I think in a lot of situations, John, that in any sort of leadership change in the fire service, I guess even life in general is going to bring some uncertainty and a little bit of a little bit of concern over what direction are we going to take and what's going to be the new initiatives, what's going to go away and what's going to be brought in, type of thing there. So obviously I'm you know been down the road a couple of times now, having come into new departments, full-time position, as well as working in new departments as the interim chief. And that always had been the number one thing that I always tried to accomplish, is very clearly I wanted to be able to, this is what I'm here to do, this is what you're here to do, we're going to work on that together organizationally. I tried to build my decisions always based on four tenets: to be a little bit better, to be a little faster, to be a little safer, and a little bit smarter. And if I use the better, faster, safer, smarter is kind of my decision making model, showing that, really at the end of the day, it was all about the service on the streets, and being able to deliver that good product out there. The interim role is kind of unique because, I suppose, depending on the model that you're working within, as Chief McGee said, there it is a sworn position in some situations. Both of my positions, I worked for an independent contractor who was a temp agency who, while they were assisting with developing the recruitment and things there, they were able to place me in there just to try to continue to bring the stability there. But while the recruitment was going on, but I think, John, the easiest way there was just a kind of an abbreviated form of a commander's intent type of thing. These are my expectations of the organization. This is what you can expect of me. These are the marching orders I've been given from City Hall or from the Board of Trustees and those types of things. And I always have tried to approach it that, especially from the interim side of things, guys, I'm not here just to phone it in. I'm here as this is going to be the next 30 years of my career. I'm going to be making decisions in my best effort to make sure that you have a better, faster, safer, smarter workplace, that we support the initiatives that are going forward. If we have the opportunity to bring about some change, or maybe a little bit of a fresh perspective, if maybe coming from out of state brings a different flavor there, or coming from a different territory or whatever, and just kind of reinvigorating things, that there's an opportunity to take a fresh look at how some of those things are done.
All right. Well, okay. So I'm going to repeat it: better, faster, safer, smarter. That is
Yes, sir.
one. I'll just say that is Force ethos of how he leads and how he behaves. And so that's for making notes. If you're making notes, better, faster, safer, smarter workplace. That's what
That's
it's
right.
about.
And it, where that gets us, I think, John, is that it's better every day. It's to be better every day. And in Sterling, that we've kind of adopted that as our motto. In my interim time there, we made up a little challenge coin and some stickers, and we're keeping the better, faster, safer, smarter in front of everybody, and being better every day, and just trying to continually, in an uncertain time, trying to bring some stability to the organization, to the community. Obviously the fire chief is the front facing face, politically and administratively, to the department, supporting those who are out in the streets every day doing the work and things like that. And I've, like you say, John, my ethos, I've always tried to, any presentation that I took to City Hall, anything that I requested of the city manager or the Board of Trustees, I tried to use at least one of those four words within it. This is organizationally going to make us better. This allows us to respond safer. This allows us to be on the scene faster. This training program allows our people to be smarter, and those types of things. So, to me, just having, that type of a thing to bring into the interim position, I think is just a little bit of a value added type of thing. And I'd like to believe I've had some success in doing that, by having that.
Well, and
John,
yeah, go ahead.
can I follow up on a couple points that Chief Reeder made? One is on his point about bringing ideas with you to the department that you're doing the interim uh, assignment at. Um, you know, a lot of those of us who are doing interim fire chief positions have a lot of tenure in the fire service. And there's maybe exposures and experiences that we will bring into a department that they haven't experienced in the department that you're going to. So, so we also have a role in being um, a knowledge transfer agent and to coach and to share practices that can help make their organization better. And I have an example of that when I with my interim assignment where we had to do budget cuts already for the budget process, and I showed the department how to do some cost recovery efforts, and in particular, you go through a process for full cost recovery for fire inspections and plan review processes. And that offset some of the cuts that they were going to be forced to have to make. The other point that I wanted to follow up with Chief Reader's comments is on expectations, and it's important to lay out expectations. But in addition to that, what I wanted to know from stakeholders were what are the expectations that you have for me, so that we can share our understanding of let's get started quicker with what we need to do. If we each know what the expectations are for each other, and if I were to violate the expectations an expectation they had for me, I gave them uh, the responsibility to call me on it so that I can check it. If there's an expectation that's unrealistic, then we would talk through that point.
Well, I was going to go on one of the comments that Forrest said about the commander's intent. And so it's the interim fire chief's intent. So can you talk a little bit, Kevin, about how to overcome that fear? You went to a large career department. Forrest went to a smaller combination department, but still, the firefighters are afraid of change. Forrest said that earlier. So how did you overcome some of that fear?
Well, I wanted to build trust with the team. And so the first thing I did when I arrived, even before meeting with city manager's office, was meeting with the command staff. And we went through an exercise, I would call it an icebreaker with them. And it's like, well, tell me about the time that you felt most proud um, within your profession here in this department. And it was just awesome stories. And I got to understand what their values were. And I was able to share mine, and they understood where I was coming from in a more concrete way. And I did that as I went around the department to talk to staff. Um, One of the things that I think separates a interim from a permanent chief is I was living in a hotel. So I spent a lot of time in the field.
Oop, we lost Kevin real quickly there. We'll see what happens here. I'm sure, like most of us, when a piece of dirt got in that internet pipe, it cut him off. So, well, so I sort of laughed when Kevin mentioned about, conflict and values and the icebreaker, because I know a fire chief that was an outside fire chief that went in he was hired to be the fire chief, and he sat down with his command staff, including the labor organization, and talked about values and ideas and goals and things like that. And so he said, well, tell me what's important to you on a 24-hour shift. And this union guy said, well, it's this, this, and this, and this. And number 7 was training. Number 7. And he said, I'm talking about you're talking about values of the member departments, Kevin. Sorry you dropped off there. But I'm talking about a fire chief who went in and they told him their values were that training was number 7 on their priority list. So we lost him again. So I don't know what's going on. But it's like, how do you overcome that? Well, you overcome that. You stand up and you say, we're going to change training to a higher priority. But you do have to get buy-in. And he did mention that. Forrest, any ideas on how do
John,
you
I
get?
think I lost you.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just going to go into how do you get buy-in from the members when you talked about values of the department and the members, establishing those values. But how do you get buy-in to that, Forrest?
Well, I think that becomes a what right looks like, Jen. And again, I think if early you establish the what right looks like, and to me, in our business, what matters is going on calls and getting ready to go on calls. And getting ready to go on calls means physical fitness, training, making sure the rigs and the equipment and the people are ready to go. To me, everything else takes a back seat to those two things. It's, positioning to have the best possible turnout as quickly as we can with the most effective firefighting force that we can put together, and complementing that hand in hand is, again, making sure that, training is the number one priority in the day, supported with physical fitness programs and making sure the rigs and people are right, and then, I firmly believe, John, that if you make that the norm, that at roll call, there's a senior firefighter led quick drill for 15 minutes again. So it's not always about the company officer, and we kind of decentralize those, and we, show the emphasis and, build some excitement around that. End of the day, you want training to be a looked forward to part of the day. And, and that has to be supported from the top of the organization to the newest recruit in there. And, by having that type of, energy and that type of support in doing those things, I believe that if those things are functioning well, you're doing a good job on the street, you're training, you're fit, you're making sure things are ready to go. High functioning organizations that are kind of that Super Bowl caliber like that, I think they're going to take care of making sure the house duties are done, John. They're going to make sure that the public education things are done. They're going to make sure that the paperwork is in good order and those types of things, if we put the priority in the organization, from the training perspective, and the wellness side of things and all the things that we've talked about here today.
Well, I
And
know.
John, I think
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead,
I
Kevin.
I think what's critically important for buy-in is creating dialogue and being able to listen to different perspectives and understanding what another stakeholder group might feel, and looking for common ground together. And doing that in a fair and open way, where we're respecting each other. And in my experience, by just keeping the dialogue open really makes a huge impact on being able to get buy-in, where in the end, everybody had their opportunity to give their say.
Well, and Kevin, again, because we've talked all the time, you were in Waco as well, but you also had to get buy-in and change some of their values, some of their priorities. Talk about that for a bit.
Yeah, so rather than trying to work on and develop a strategic plan, um, we focused on a work plan that would be like a 1 year kind of effort. And it was based on the need to do it was based on me going around to work sites and talking with the command staff about what their concerns were and the things that were working well and what could be done better. It's like, okay, look, we need to get some organization on what those issues are and prioritize it. So we involved the captains, battalion chiefs had different work groups. Um, to go through a process to identify those, and then we went through a prioritization process where the staff were able to rank it, and then they presented it to me and the command staff, with the understanding that I and the command staff could reprioritize where we felt was necessary. So, for example, one of the high priority items was change in the uniform. And I had to explain to the department that it's not appropriate for interim chief to be changing the uniform. That should be something that your permanent chief should address. And they had cancer prevention as sort of down towards the middle, and we moved that up. And that was an area that I knew that the command staff and I could make an impact with during the time that I was going to be there, and we did. So that was the approach we took, and it was something new for the department. They didn't really know how to take this guy from the East Coast with this process, but in the end, it worked out, and we were able to have some impressive accomplishments because it was done through a team effort.
Well, and just like you said, when you told me about it, it is about making change, and you just have to sometimes convince them that their priorities are not the priorities of a department meeting the needs of the customer. So, and meeting their needs. So we haven't talked about this, or we haven't used this word yet, but all the things we're talking about is about how do you manage politics. And so, Forrest, I'll give you the first shot at that, and not just about internal politics, but about external politics as well.
Yeah, boy, that's you talk about a loaded kind of question there, John. That's for sure. There, you know, I won't say it's an easy answer, but I'd say, somewhere along the line, obviously we've all probably heard of a SWOT analysis and those types of things, and within those documents, whether it's a fire department based one or city based one, there's always going to be information that we can gain there. Some of those factors on both sides, within the community, there might be, some concerns about the department's operation, the department's leadership that come from the community-based groups and things there. Certainly, that can have the same echo when it comes to the personnel inside. But I somewhere along the line, like I said, I picked up something called a PEST analysis, PEST, and that starts first with the political environment. So again, just taking a look as part of the interim's chief's role, I found that to be a handy process to go as part of the transitioning to the permanent position and things like that. Whether it's an internal candidate that gets the job or an external candidate who's going to come in and do that. You look at the political factors, you look at the economic factors, you look at the social factors, again, which is, I think, a good complement to that. And then the technology piece and, where those vulnerabilities are. But, to me, it's about relationships and having conversations. I don't know, John, maybe you even said it years ago or whatever in one of your early writings and things there. But, it's about being able to have conversations, both difficult ones, critical conversations and those types of things. And the fire chief's job, and today maybe even more than ever, when you maybe first said it, John, was it's not about going and running incidents and doing those things. It's about building relationships, and whether it's an interim position or not, politically you have to build those relationships. And I guess you're kind of like the goalie in hockey, trying to keep the pucks out of the net at City Hall and things like that. And that as we go along. So taking the pulse and getting out there and having those conversations to see where the political tones are going to be and the undertones and stuff that's working in the background is so vital important to this core job description that we're talking about.
Right. Kevin, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's a good question for me because I experienced that like within the first few weeks of going into the interim position, where we had to present to the city council what our goals were for the fiscal year. And so we had to put that together quickly. Um, what's important when you're in that position is you have a boss. And so I reported to the city manager's office, and that was another team. So we had city managers, deputy city manager, city attorney, HR director, and we would work through the issues. They knew the lay of the land from a political standpoint on what is doable and what might be a landmine. And so we ultimately put some very important goals out there that they were able to support for me to communicate to the city council, that really would push the level of service that we were going to have to provide within the next year. And that gave us the opening to do some purchasing and some other initiatives that, and this was for witness cardiac arrest survival. We made a commitment to improve our that service level. The other thing is being seen in the community. And another benefit of living in the apartment or in the hotel was on weekends I would get out to the community. Each Sundays that I was there, I would go to a different house of worship, and I'd go in Class A uniforms, and I was really taken back on how meaningful that was to the community to see their fire chief. City events I would attend, events in the community. Um, just being there and being seen that, okay, I was perceived as somebody who really felt like they had a stake in the community, which I felt I did. I wanted to be there to provide for us to provide the best possible service. So those are some of the things that I consider from the political perspective.
Yeah, let's go back to, I think, Kevin, you said this in the very beginning, that leaders want to make a difference. And so whether you're interim fire chief or you just got promoted, accepted a position, or you maybe you're not even a fire chief. You could be a captain or a battalion chief. So how do you measure making a difference? I'll go to you first, Kevin. How do you measure making a difference?
Well, I think there's a subjectivity to that question, and there are things that you can measure. I mean, if you go in and you develop a work plan, um, and you're able to click off some of those accomplishments, then that's something that's measurable. One of the things that I committed to the city manager was um, there were a couple of projects that we undertook that required adaptive change that I communicated to him that I felt like I had to get that done before I go. So it wasn't on the permanent chief's plate. So whoever the new chief was, can start with their agenda to move forward without having these legacy items. And the most important one that I felt that I undertook, I was able to get.
He was able to get hung up on again. Forrest, anything about? I know both of you are highly motivated individuals to be successful. How do you make a difference in an organization for your satisfaction?
Well, boy, there a whole bunch of different ways. Like I said, the other day when we were together, John, I said I've always approached, every year my job is that we get to go to work, and just to bring that that attitude to to work every day. And when you see guys seeking you out as the fire chief, especially in the interim role, to have conversations about, Chief, what's your experience? What do you think of how we're doing this? Is there something better that maybe we should be looking out and trying to do here for the organization? I've found in both of the interim positions, as well as
John,
when I
I
was
think
in
I
Tinley. Nope.
lost you again.
You did. Yep. Yep. We kept moving though.
Okay.
Forrest was going to the same kind of question.
Yeah, and then in my time in Tinley Park, I came as an external candidate into Tinley Park, and again had the opportunity there to work with an amazing village there, and the firefighters were first class around to a person there with what we were able to accomplish and all those things. And again, if you can demonstrate what right looks like and be that leader and be the example, and to always be teaching, always be leading, always be learning, always be there to make a difference, I think a lot of that rubs off on on the members in the organization. you know uh, Recognizing the challenge of the interim, I'm sure as Chief McGee said there, though the calendar has already started counting down the day you walk into the position, I believe there's opportunity every day to make a difference positively for the organization. And after all, that's what I signed up for, in the places that I'm at, is to try to bring a little something different, a little something refreshed, a little something from a different perspective, from a different lens, to try to do that. And that's been my key, John.
Good. Well, I'm just checking this chat session. I don't see any questions there, but I wanted to, let's sort of try to wrap this up here. We're at about 14 minutes before the hour. We usually go about 50 minutes, but we'll go. So, what advice, Kevin, would you give that person who's considering becoming an interim fire chief? So I'm thinking about it. I think, I just retired. I hear about it. I'm going to go out and apply for a couple positions. What advice would you have for that person considering becoming an interim fire chief?
I think the number one thing is make sure you have the flexibility to carry through. So that if you're offered an assignment as an interim and it's going to be a couple months, it could turn out to be a year.
And most of them do, don't they? I mean, most of the interim fire chiefs, they go for a short period and end up being there for a year or two.
I would say, for the most part, it's going to go beyond what they because something always will get in the way with whatever the selection process is.
Right.
And so you can't count on that, and you have to commit. The other thing is be prepared for whatever crisis might come along. The first interim role I had was at the beginning of COVID. So I was there, and we were on a good roll, and then we had the biggest health emergency of our lifetimes. So there's all kinds of things that can happen. The operating environment moves quickly, and conditions can change in an instant. So you need to be able to be adaptive to whatever comes along.
So flexibility and adaptability are two big things.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Anything else?
I would say preparation. The preparation piece, John. That you got to do your homework. Going in it. Obviously, because you're there for presumably a short period of time. As much intel gathering as you can do to, kind of look at everything from the current response issues that may be there, because again, at the end of the day, that's a stability. You have to make sure that is maintained. The administrative stuff, there's probably some discretionary time there, but you really have to quickly know what the challenges and the issues and the needs are, specifically on providing the service that we have to within the community first. So That probably is something that maybe I wished in a couple of my two experiences there, doing a little bit more homework in terms of some of those things. And very very quickly in my first week in Sterling, several high end types of responses in a smaller. It's a career department, but they kind of joked that Chief Reader brought the bingo card of all the different interesting things that started to happen as soon as I got there, with major extrications, a couple of structure fires, boats in the water overturned, just being ready to be part of the response, especially if that's going to be part of your responsibility is to get out and respond and assist in those calls and things like that. Learning the SOPs and taking a look at those things. So preparation, as much as we can would be probably my number one there.
Well, you neither one of you brought this up, but let's talk about that preparation phase, and that is the family acceptance. If your spouse goes with you, that's one thing. If your spouse doesn't go with you, that creates some other issues. So, Kevin, how do you prepare the family? Oh, I'm only going to do this for 2 months, and it goes longer than that. How do you help with that, Kevin?
Well, I didn't do a good job with that one because I thought it was going to be a couple months, and um, we arranged in the contract that I could go back home every couple of weekend or every other weekend, and then with the demands that were occurring within the department and within the city, that wasn't always doable. So your family needs to understand that there's going to be some disruption. My wife didn't want to have to be living in a hotel with me gone most of the time,
Sure.
um, and so that was hard. Um, it was a good experience for me, but it was a challenge to my family. I actually got a reprimand from my 7-year-old grandson for being away because he likes me to spend time with him and throw the football and do things together. And when he said, I think you like the people in Texas more than you like us,"
Ooh, ooh.
that was time to say, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this again.
Yeah, that's like taking a sledgehammer to your head.
So it's a sacrifice that family makes, I think.
So the point is, you got to prepare them. Forrest, how about you?
Right on there. No, that's for sure. I'm a little different situation with my interim positions, that I still was close enough that I could commute, as needed back on the weekends and things like that. And also, I kind of have the flexibility that Bridget and I live in an RV full time. So my rolling office and my rolling house, I was able to take out to Marion and stay right in town in my
Right.
RV, our big motorhome and that, and that as we go. And my current position in Sterling, I was only a couple hours from home base and things like that. So just like I did when I lived in town, I still tried to keep that work life balance there, and stay accessible for the kids. And thank goodness for things like FaceTime and Zooms and things
Right.
like that you can better today. I know it would have looked different 10 years ago, than it does today. We have that flexibility, but I think that's a good point, to consider there is what is the off duty time, especially if this is a post retirement type of position, going to look like. And, you know, uh, probably within the contract and within the scope of your employment, making sure that you've got those things spelled out very clearly, not just for the city manager and trustee side of things, but with the personnel, as well, that, I'm going to be here this day, these days to these days, traveling some on the weekends or whatever that looks like. I think that has to be, part of the, you know, what's this, role going to look like within the department too.
And so, Kevin, you said this, that you need to negotiate that as part of your contract of how much home time do you get, especially if, in, like both of you, you're multiple states in a couple of
Yeah.
occasions. And so I think that's a good suggestion is negotiate that in your contract that they're going to fly you somewhere, or they're going to pay for this or pay for that. And it's not just about getting a salary and benefits. Anything to add on that?
Yeah, and I would say the city I was interim at was very good to me. If I needed to be home, um, they supported that. I was able to take care of the things that I had to do remotely in those cases, and had a great command staff that could keep things rolling in my absence. Um, so I think that was one of the things that helped sell me was just the support that I was getting from the city and the commitment that they had that, hey, we know that you have to balance your family needs.
All right. All right. Well, we are 5 minutes till 4 Eastern Standard Time, and we're about to wrap this thing up. So, Nan or Sherry, I'm sorry, Nan was our previous webinar manager. Can you bring the slides back up, Sherry? Well, there you go. So we'll move past that slide, and so we appreciate these two guys being here. I'll go back to you for any closing comments in a second. But if you have an idea or an issue that you believe the VCOS should be concerned about, call me, email me, text me, whatever, get a hold of me, and we will help you get to the right people. We do have the webinar address at the bottom of the screen here so that you can access the webinars. They are recorded. We're not just the V2S does webinars, so we encourage you to do that. And then here we are finishing up for today, and I'll let Forrest go first in any closing comments you have.
Well, first off, thanks to you, Jen, and the staff. Very professional environment to get these done, and I thank everybody for making that happen. But I just like to echo a lot what Kevin said. There is that this isn't a placeholder position by any stretch of the imagination. There's too much at stake to approach it from that way. That I'd like to try to consider it as a bridge to the future for the organization, to the future leadership. And I believe we owe it to that organization, to the members who work there and will work there probably for their entire careers, to help them set the table. So, in general, that's what I believe we're there to do, is to set the table. And, I want to have it ready, so that the successor to the interim position can hit the ground running and get in and make it their own then. Thank you very much.
A good statement. So the successor can hit the ground running. Kevin, closing comments?
Yeah, I want to echo Chief Reeder and thank you for inviting us to participate with all of you today. And just want to emphasize how valuable and how rewarding having the opportunity to do an interim position where, even though those of us who are retired, we still want to be able to contribute. And if there's a way to do that, I think this is a great opportunity for both a department, a local government, or fire protection district, as well as the retiree, to be able to see a different way of providing service and a different kind of environment. After being in retirement mode, I felt like, well, maybe I don't want to close the door completely. It made so much effort to build a knowledge set and skill set that I think I have a little bit more to give. And so this was the way to do it for me. A great experience. I think that we're going to see more of this in the future around the country. Those of you who are nearing retirement, consider this as an additional way that you can give back to the fire service.
Thank you, Kevin. Well, I will say this about my closing comments will be about these two individuals who came on here today. I respect each of you as a person and as a leader. And you both are character have or you have leadership characters. No, that's not what I meant. You are leaders who manage with character, and that
Thank
includes
you.
values, morals, ethics, all those kind of things. And we have so many of our fire chiefs who get in there, interim or whatever, and they forget where they came from. And neither one of you have forgotten where you came from. So yes, you are characters as well as leaders who have character,
Yep.
but both of you are characters. And I thank you very much for coming on. And our invisible face that we never see is Sherry Lagarza. She is our webinar manager. And Sherry, we appreciate your help in getting this program up and running and changing a couple of my slides to make them look better. So thank you very much, Sherry, as well. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. It's 4 o'clock. We are 41 minutes over, or 41 seconds over. That's because John talks too much. So thank you very much, and goodbye, all in attendance.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.